Namaskar students. So today I will start fourth unit of your syllabus of your paper, that is accelerator physics. So in this fourth unit we will study the application of accelerator. So in application of accelerator, the main application of accelerator in condensed matter physics or solid state physics, in nuclear physics, in biological science, in environmental science. When I will go through the lectures, you will see that nowadays accelerators can be used widely for any branch of science which are existing. So I can say safely that even today's life is basically not possible because of accelerator. So when I will go through the lectures, when I will study, then you can realize also yourself that okay, accelerators are very important for this science and technology era. So without accelerator it is not possible. So nearly if you see, accelerators are basically used nearly in all branch of science, whether medical science, environmental science. Okay, so in this unit first we will try to understand how the basically accelerator what do. Accelerator basically generates the charge particles, means that is accelerator gives the charge particle or radiations. So when a charge particles, if you want to use in condensed matter physics, let us say nuclear physics, so we must know that how these charge particles are interacting with the matters. So if you see our whole universe, if we can categorize, the whole universe is basically made of matter. If you see, so this we know that matter have four states: solid, liquid, and gaseous, and plasma. So everything is basically made from the matter. So whatever is existing in the universe, that is made from the matter. So that is why, so this, it is now important to understand how charge particles or how these radiations are interacting with the matter. So in fourth unit, this first topic I have come up with the passage of radiation through matters. So we'll see in this lecture. So this whole lecture is prepared by different books. I have taken as a reference book I have taken. So the first book is Techniques for the Nuclear and Particle Physics Experiment, that is by W.R. Leo. This is very famous book for nuclear and particle physics who use accelerator or even in material science. And then second book is Swift Heavy Ions for Material Engineering and Nanostructuring, that is written by Indian authors, that is D.K. Awasthi and G.K. Mehta. And I am opportunate, means you can say I am very fortunate that I have interacted with these two scientists, Professor D.K. Awasthi and Professor G.K. Mehta. So, and then another book, that is ion solid interaction, that is fundamental and applications. This is again, this is very important book. Those who are working in the accelerator physics, means those who are using accelerator in material science. So that is by M. Nastasi, Mayer, and Hironen. And M. Nastasi and Mayer also written one book, that is Ion Implantation and Synthesis of Material, that is by M. Nastasi and Mayer. So mostly the first part of this PPT whatever I am showing, so that is basically covered by this book W.R. Leo. Okay, so I will start the lecture. So as I promised that this my topic, my lecture will be starting from the interaction of particles or radiation with matter. So if you see, let us say when charge particle is interacting with matter, what in order to, means we have to detect something. How we can visualize that this charge particle is interacting? That is the question. Means when charge particle is moving, radiation is moving, how one can determine, how one can know that whether this charge particle is existing or not. So that means this charge particle has to interact with the matter. And this interaction of mostly that is electromagnetic interaction. So these charged particles may be of several types. If you see, it may be charged particles, So that is interaction may be charge particle interaction, that is and when this charge particle is interacting, that is heavy charge particles or light charge particle. So that is energy loss when charge particle is interacting with the matter. It may create ionization into the material, or it may create the excitation into the material. So this is valid for the heavy particles. Apart from the electron, means like proton, helium, even not proton, if you go for helium and onwards charge particles. Not for, that is why I have written not for electron and proton. And again, electron and proton also, electron and positron also can create excitation and ionization within the matter. That is why I have separately written this heavy particles and electron and positron. And when charged particles, whether these electrons or positron or even heavy charged particles are interacting with the matter, they can lose their energy by creating photon also. Means there may be emission of photons. So that's basically called as a bremslang. So this phenomena is occurring in when electrons and positron is interacting with the matter. Another radiation is photon. We know that photon is also an electromagnetic radiation. So when photon interact with the matter, so there may be three phenomena occurs. So that is, first is photoelectric effect, that we know, that is discovered by Einstein, and he was awarded with the Nobel Prize for the photoelectric effect. He invented this theory in 1905, and then maybe Compton effect and maybe pair production. So this, whenever photon interact with the matter, so only these three phenomena, these three processes may occur: photoelectric effect, Compton effect, or pair production. Similarly, there may be some other electromagnetic important processes are there, that is multiple scattering. So that is also known as the Coulomb scattering. Maybe scintillation lights may occur, that we can observe by this energy by triggering a time of flight system. Another type of radiation, that is current co-radiation, may occur. We will discuss this current co-radiation and bremslang in the coming slides. What is the current co and what is the bremslang? And then there may be transitive radiation, transition of radiations, because when electromagnetic radiations are interacting with the matter, some of the electrons may go into the higher state and then they come into the ground state by emitting some radiation. So that is transition radiation. So passage of radiation through matter. So in general, we have seen that two principal features may observe when the charged particle passes through the matter. Okay. So there may be several features, but only two principal features are there whenever any charged particle passes through the matter, that may occur. The first is loss of energy by the charged particle. Obviously, when charged particle is passing through the matter, is interacting with the matter, it may lose its energy. Another process is there may be deflection of charged particle from its path. Let us say if charged particle is moving in a straight line, if some matter is present, then it may deflect from its straight line path. It may deflect its path. So these are the two principal features whenever a charged particle is interacting with the matter. So these two features gives several phenomena, several processes in the matter. So what are the processes? The first process is inelastic collision of particle with atomic electron. What I mean to say that, let us say we have a matter. If you see any solid of matter, or you see any atom, so atom is composed, any matter is composed of what? Yeah, any solid is composed of what? Any solid is composed of atoms. And atom is composed of what? Atom is composed of nucleus and electron. So it means whenever a charged particle is interacting with the matter, it means it is interacting with the atoms. If it is interacting with the atoms, it means it may interact. What is inside atom? Inside atom there is two identity, electron and nucleus. So charged particle may interact with the nucleus or it may interact with the electron. So whenever charged particle interact with the target electron, so that is known as the inelastic collision. So that is why first process is inelastic collision of particle with atomic electron of the target material. Second process, that is the, as I said, each charged particle may interact with the nucleus also. So that is known as the elastic scattering of particle from the target nucleus material. So these are the two main processes whenever a charged particle interact with the matter. Another there may be some other process like when radiations passes through matter, there may be nuclear reactions. There may be, as I discussed earlier, Bremsstrahlung radiation may be there, emission of Cherenkov radiation may be there. But it may be pointed out here that this Bremsstrahlung radiation and emission of Cherenkov radiations, so this is extremely rare in the material. Okay, so the energy loss of heavy ion in radiative process such as Bremsstrahlung and Cherenkov radiation is very small. Therefore, this will be neglected whenever we discuss heavy ion and solid interaction. So this process is basically valid when for the light particle, not for the heavy ions. When means light particle means when if you have a charged particle of electrons, positrons, then only these two processes are dominating. Otherwise, if we have a, let us say, alpha particle, helium ions, lithium ion, boron ion, gold ion, heavier ions, then these two radiations are negligible. So these two radiations can be neglected. So when we will discuss about the heavy ion and solid interaction, we'll neglect these particles. Okay. So we have seen that there are basically two main processes or mechanism of energy loss of any charged particle when it is passing through the material. So first we have seen that is inelastic scattering of particle with atomic electron of the target. I mean to say that we have a target material. So target material is basically composed of atoms. An atom is made of electron and nucleus. So when a charged particle is moving, whenever a charged particle is moving going towards the matter, going towards the material, so it has probability of interacting with the nucleus, or it has probability with the interacting with the electron. So that will depend upon the energy. I will discuss later. So whenever charged particle is interacting with the target electrons, means target we have their electrons are revolving, then that is known as the inelastic scattering, and that process is known as the electronic stopping. Yeah, and the energy loss is known as the electronic energy loss. Okay. Similarly, charged particle may interact with the nucleus, not with the electron. If charged particle is interacting with the nucleus, so in that case the collision will be, that is known as the elastic scattering, elastic collision. And this type of, in this process, the energy lost by the charged particle, that is known as the nuclear stopping and nuclear energy loss. Okay. So this nuclear, whether we call the stopping power, nuclear stopping or electronic stopping, we can also call as a energy loss per unit length, or later we will call electronic, if energy loss is by electronic stopping, so that is also known as the electronic energy loss. If energy will be lost by the elastic scattering or by the nuclear stopping, then we will call the nuclear energy loss. The stopping power refers to the property of material to stop the incident ion and is given by minus 1 upon rho dE by dx. Here negative sign reflects that there is a loss of the energy, that is why this is minus, and rho is the density of the material. And if you try to find out the units, so that is electron volt centimeter square upon atom. So here in diagram I have tried to show. So let us say we have a target material and this energetic ion is passing through the material. So as I said, this material is composed of atoms, and atom is composed of nucleus and electrons. So this is nucleus and around that electrons is revolving. So there is probability that this ion may interact with the nucleus, or this ion may interact with the electronic system. So here I have tried to show this nuclear collision when this ion is directly colliding with the nucleus, so that is nuclear collision. If the ion is interacting with the electrons which is revolving around, so that is known as the electronic stopping and electronic energy loss. Okay. So I think I have cleared the doubt. So I am moving forward. So up to now, what we have learned? We have learned that whenever a charged particle is passing through a matter, then as matter is composed of atoms, an atom is composed of nucleus and electron. So if charged particle is heavy charged particle, then this charged particle may either interact with the electronic system of the target, or it may interact with the nucleus of the target or nucleus of the matter and electron of the matter. If it is interacting with the electronic system, that is known as inelastic scattering, and that is energy loss by that in this process is known as the electronic energy loss. And the radius, if the charged particle is interacting with the nucleus, in that case scattering will be elastic scattering, and the energy loss will be known as the nuclear energy loss and nuclear stopping. So now, how one can calculate how much energy is lost by the charged particle when it is moving, when it is interacting with the electronic system or nuclear system. So now onwards we will derive energy loss formula. So first energy loss formula, that is known as the Bohr calculations for energy loss. So this is known as the classical theory. So Bohr was the first person who has tried to calculate the energy loss in case of when charged particle is interacting with the target electron. So let us assume that a high energy charged particle is moving through a matter. So here we have assumed in matter there are large number of electrons are there. For simplicity, for convenience, we have taken one electron is there. Let us say this electron is there, target electron, and charged particle is moving, and this is the basically impact parameter. It's not impact parameter, that is the distance between the charged particle and the nuclear electronic system. So where this charged particle has mass capital M and charge Ze, and electron have charge E. Okay. So for doing these calculations, what we have to assume that electron is free and initially at rest. Okay. So this is the assumption, that we have to assume that electron is free when this charged particle is moving, and initially it is at rest, and furthermore that it is only moves very slightly during the interaction, okay, with the heavy particle, so that electric field acting on the electron may be taken as its initial position. Moreover, after collision, we assume that the incident particle to be essentially undeviated from its original path because of its much larger path. Means when this charged particle is interacting with the electronic system, because the mass of the ion, the mass of the charged particle obviously will be much larger than the electronic mass. So we will assume that this charged particle is not deviating from its path. So in case this is valid only in case of electronic interaction. So here what we are considering, that is why this is known as the inelastic scattering. Means here the path of the ion is not deviating. Means the charged particle is interacting with the electron only. Okay. So this is one reason for separating electron from heavy nucleus. So let us try to calculate the energy gained by the electron by finding the momentum impulse it received from colliding with the heavy particles. Thus, if we write the momentum, we know the force is equal to rate of change of momentum. So momentum can be find out dp is equal to df upon df into dt, or p is equal to integral f dt. So that is I have written p is equal to I. That in Leo book that is given I, that is why I have written I. Here for simplicity I have written p, that is momentum, integral f dt. And this we know f is equal to q into E. So because of the electric field, if electron is there, so because of electron is a charged particle, so each charged particle produces an electric field. That electric field is equal to q into E. So q is charge of electron is E, and E is the electric field. Here we have taken perpendicular electric field. So because the electric field will be in every direction, but we have considered a cylindrical trajectory. So this perpendicular electric field basically will interact with the this moving charged particle, and other radial electric component of electric field will not give any result. So that is why we have considered the perpendicular electric field. So this expression we can write E integral perpendicular dt upon dx. Ds I have multiplied, so we E integral d E dt dx upon v, dt upon dx, that is equal dx upon dt, that is equal to v. We can write this, where only the component of electric field perpendicular E perpendicular to the particle trajectory enters because of the symmetry, and other will be cancelled out. Other component will be cancelled out. Only the perpendicular component will be there. So that is why I have written E perpendicular. To calculate the integral E perpendicular dx, we will use the Gauss law over an infinitely long cylinder centered on the particle trajectory passing through the position of electron. Then if we apply the Gauss law, so we know the Gauss law is basically surface integral of electric field surface integral of electric field. So that surface integral E dot ds. Here ds is the dA is the area vector. So in case of cylinder area vector, that we can write that is 2 pi b dx. So if you write the magnitude, the integral E perpendicular 2 pi b, where this b is the radius of cylinder. If you remember 2 pi r dr, 2 pi r dr. So I am not taking r, I am taking dx. So 2 pi b dx. Okay, and so surface integral of E dot dA, surface integral of E is equal to q upon epsilon 0. That is the Gauss law. Means total charge enclosed in the Gaussian surface. So if you see, go back, how much charge is enclosed in the Gaussian surface? That is basically, if you draw a Gaussian surface of cylinder, so that is ZE charge is enclosed. So this will be equal to ZE upon epsilon 0, or in, if you change the unit, that epsilon 0 is equal to 1 upon 4 pi, that is into 4 pi. So this is can be written as 4 pi into ZE. Okay. So this 2 pi will be cancelled out. So we can write integral E perpendicular dx is equal to 2 ZE upon b. So we can write these things. So that momentum P or I can be written as, that is 2 ZE square upon BV. Okay, 2 ZE square upon B. Why? Because this E has, if you write here, so this I of P is equal to, this is integral value. This is integral value, that is 2 ZE upon B, and here this I is equal to, that is E into I. So this E will be multiplied to 2 ZE square upon BV. Now we have calculated the momentum, so we can calculate the energy gained by the electron when it is interacting with the ion, charge particles. So we know that energy is equal to P square upon 2m, so that E is equal to P square upon 2m. Here I have written I, so that is gain in energy by the electron, that is delta E, which is function of R, which is function of B, that is I square upon 2m. So substituting the value of I, so that 2 Z square E to the power 4 upon ME V square B square. Okay. If you move further, if we let NE is the density of electron, then energy lost to all electrons located at distance B to B plus dB in thickness dx, that can be written as, so we have to multiply with the density of electron and volume, obviously. So minus, this minus sign come because of the energy loss. So dE B is equal to delta EB NE dB, where this delta EB we have calculated substituting the value of from previous equation. So this value, so we can write 4 ZE square E power 4 ME V square NE, that is electronic density in the material medium, and dB upon B, because this is B square, and here if you write the volume, so volume will be equal to 2 pi b dB. So this B and this another B will be cancelled out. Here dB upon B will be there and dx will be there. Okay. So this B square will be cancelled out by this B. So there will be only B will be remaining. So dB upon B dx. And continuing in a straightforward manner, one would at this point be tempted to investigate from, if we integrate this equation from 0 to infinity, one can get the total energy loss. However, this is contrary to our original assumption. For example, collision at very large B would not take place over a short period of time. Means, if B is very large, let us assume, if B is very large, then this interaction between this ion and electron will be not possible, because if B is very large, so this ion can pass through the medium without interacting with the charge particle. Okay, so that is not feasible. Means if B is very large, so that our impulse calculation will not be valid. As well, if B is equal to 0, let us say, if B is equal to 0, if you see here, go to back, if you put the B is equal to 0, then this delta E will be equal to infinite. If this B becomes equal to 0, so this gained in energy by the electron, that will be infinity. So that is also not possible. It means infinite energy transfer. So that our this calculations by taking the integral from 0 to infinity, that will be not valid. So therefore our integration must made over some limits, that is b minimum to b maximum. So we can integrate, if we integrate this integral from some b minimum to b maximum value, so the minus dE by dx, so this dx has come here, so that dE by dx integral, so that will be 4 pi z square e power 4 me v square ne natural log b maximum upon b minimum. So this is the energy loss formula by estimated by Bohr. Now to estimate the value of b minimum and b maximum, we must take some physical arguments. Okay, what are the physical arguments? Classically, the maximum energy transferable is on head-on collision where the electron obtains an energy that is half mv square, because if head-on collision is happening between two electrons, so velocity will be 2. V velocity is 1 electron, another V velocity, so V into V, that is 2 velocity. In case of velocity collision, the 2 V velocity is 2V. That is why max energy gain that will be half me 2V square. If we take relativistic case into account, then this becomes, that is 2 gamma square me V square. Okay, then if you did, that is 4, and this 4 will be considered 2. So me v square, here we can write this mass of the electron in terms of gamma, that is v by c. We write that gamma is equal to under root 1 minus b, so or b is equal to v by c. So if you do this you can write this. This is basically energy gain. So this above expression, so this one we can write this value, this 2z square b power 4 e to power 4 is equal to me v square b square. If in place of b square we can substitute, that is b maximum, okay, b minimum. So if we substitute the b minimum, then this b minimum energy gain by electron, that will be equal to the this value, that is 2 gamma square me v square. So that what I did from equation, from this equation, in place of b we have substituted b minimum, and then this energy will be, this energy gain by electron will be exactly equal to the 2 gamma square me v square. So then we can find out the b minimum. So b minimum will be equal to z e square upon gamma me v square. Okay. Now for finding out the b maximum, we must recall now the electrons are not free but bound to the atoms with some orbital frequency nu. In order for the electron to absorb energy, point should be noted. Means when charged particle is moving through the material, means this ion or this charged particle has to interact with the electron, and electron will absorb some energy during interaction. The condition is that electron to absorb energy, then perturbation caused by the particle must take place in time short comparison to period t upon t is equal to 1 upon nu of the bound electron, because the electron which is bound, that is bound to the atom, and that is moving with the velocity. If it is moving with velocity, means that have some frequency. That have some frequency means that have some time period. That electron which is moving around the nucleus, target nucleus, that have some frequency. If the time period of this electron is comparable to the, means if this is matching with the interaction time of the moving charge particles, the charge particle which is moving, this charge particle, that is also moving, that is also have some time period, then energy, then perturbation will be there, then energy loss will be there. Okay, so that is what I am saying. The passing particle must take place in time short compared to the period tau is equal to 1 upon nu for the bound electron. Otherwise perturbation is adiabatic and no energy is transferred. This is the principle of adiabatic invariance. It means for electronic collision, the typical interaction time should be, that is b upon v, where v is the velocity of moving charge particle, that is ion, and b is the distance between the, that is the electron and the charge particle. Okay, so that is the time period. So this means this time should be exactly equal to the time period of the electron which is moving in the target. When this time and this time will be equal, then maximum perturbation will occur. Mean maximum perturbation will be caused by the moving charge particle through the electron, then maximum interaction will be there. I hope you understood my point. Means this time is known as the coherence time. Coherent time means how much time charge particle is expanding, yeah, how much time charge particle is interacting with the target electron, of what time, and during that period their interaction will be there. So with relativistically we can write this T is equal to T upon gamma, or that time relativity we have applied to B upon gamma V, so that this T, that is B upon gamma V, should be exactly equal to 1 upon nu, that is frequency of the electron. So we will take average frequency because there are large number of electron. So BV is equal to gamma V or less than or equal to, that is tau, that is 1 upon nu. Then only maximum interaction will be there. When this T will be less than or equal to this time period, then only interaction will be there, then energy loss will be there, otherwise there will be no energy loss, because electron is always revolving into across the nucleus and ion is passing. If you see here in this diagram, basically atom is there, here atom is there, and electron is moving around the nucleus and this ion is passing. So when electron is somewhere here, let us say when it is moving somewhere this side, then there is no interaction. That means interaction time is very less. That means the maximum perturbation on electron will be there when the time period of this electron and this time period of this electron, they becomes comparable or less than or equal to, then maximum interaction will be there. So by imposing this condition we can find out the maximum B. So obviously this will give, if you write that B will be equal to, we can write that is gamma V into nu average. Okay? That is mean frequency we have taken, because large number of electrons are there, bound electrons. So substituting these two value in this equation, B maximum and B minimum, so we can find that minus dE upon dx is equal to 4 pi z square e to power 4 upon me v square ne ln gamma square me v cube upon ze square nu average, that is frequency. So this is known as the Bohr classical formula for energy loss, and this was the first attempt made by any scientist, and it's give reasonable description of energy loss for a very heavy particles. Remember that it's only valid for heavy particles such as alpha and heavier nuclei, alpha, lithium, boron, gold, silver. However, for lighter particles, for example like proton or electron or muon, so this formula is not valid. Okay, because quantum effects, it is nevertheless contain all essential features of electronic collision lost by charged particles. So this is basically this formula is valid for the electronic collision, electronic interaction, inelastic scattering of ion with the matter. Okay, so I will finish up at this point. So tomorrow we will discuss the next topic. Thanking you very much for listening me. So I hope you understood up to this point. So this is the base of the interaction of charged particle with matter. So that is why I included this topic. If you understood this, you will understood so many things in coming lectures. So thanking you very much. If you like this lecture, kindly like the video, subscribe the channel and share with your friends. Thanking you very much.